Okay, there I am. Hello, Rainbow Warriors. How is everybody today? Oh, let me turn my volume down. I'm getting feedback here on my computer. Okay, there we go. All right, so, oh, I had a standby device over here and it's got its volume up too. I guess third time's the charm. So, here we go. Welcome to Wednesdays with MrTieDye. Let's start out by doing some thank yous, pass some gratitude out there. So we had some new members sign up in the last week. Madam Von Cook, Rainbow Seas, McDonald Chemistry, Leah, Stephanie, and Jay. And then we had some donations come in from Sherry, Doris, Jennifer, Leah, and Nicolay. So thank you, much gratitude to all who helped support this channel. And even just showing up and watching these and liking and sharing these, that's a way to support. Letting the ads roll, that's another way you guys can support me. So anyways, thank you. I appreciate it all. It does help me keep making all these videos. So let's see. Start out with Julie is not here. She is driving right now, so she won't even be able to be in the chat room, but she does send her love out to everybody, and she wants me to say hello, Mom. She loves you. Let's see. What else do we got going on? Okay, so I'm going to be doing a couple t-shirts today. I didn't have me mix things up, so I decided to pull a couple designs off my board here and do those for the video today. So because Julie is not here, I don't have somebody fielding the questions for me. So we're going to have to hold the questions until the auction time. We do have an auction of the tapestry from last week. So we'll get that done as soon as I'm done dyeing both of these t-shirts up. So, and then when you do put a question in, if it's directed towards me, if you could put it in all caps, that helps me be able to find it when I'm looking through the chat box. And there's a possibility that while I'm working on these t-shirts, I might see a question and be able to answer it, but most likely the questions are going to wait until the end when I'm doing the auction and the Q&A session. So, let's just jump right in here. Looks like we got a bunch more people signing in. We got shows 50, almost 50 people in the house today. So welcome everybody and thank you for joining me. So to start with, I'm starting with a t-shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out, so it's just barely damp right now. I've turned it inside out because that's just my preference for dyeing shirts. Sometimes on the Procyon dyes, when you mix them up, you'll get little tiny specks of dye that don't dissolve all the way, and they'll leave tiny little spots on your t-shirt. And a lot of times those are only on just one side, wherever the dye was lying. So if you put your t-shirts inside out, you can avoid most of those spots. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first design I'm going to do is the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch. And that's the one that the little dress that you guys saw in the picture, that's the design that we're going to do, but I'm going to mix that up a little bit. Instead of going straight across with the colors, we're going to go a little bit at a diagonal. But we're still going to fold the t-shirt up the same way. Let's see, how much does it cost to be a member? To be a member, you just click on the join, and there's 4 different options that you can select from, whatever amount that you like. So, okay, to start with, I'm going to go ahead and scrunch this up, and I usually will start scrunching from the bottom, and I just like to kind of start out by just kind of wrinkling it up a little bit to get it started, and then I start putting those wrinkles a little bit closer and tighter together. Let me turn a little bit more here so you can see what I'm doing. So I just kind of twist. Sometimes when I scrunch it, I'll get a long pleat, and if you just kind of break that up, then I just like for my scrunches just to have it be all really wrinkly, and I also like to have it be on one layer, meaning I don't want parts of the t-shirt flopping over because it'll act like an umbrella, and the parts of the t-shirt underneath they're possibly going to be left white. So, But I like to, when I'm doing the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch, I like to kind of scrunch it up rather than just in one big circle. I like to scrunch up from the bottom up to the top here so that I can put my colors on going up the t-shirt. So I start out by scrunching the bottom up. And once I get kind of a little bit of a t-shirt wad started there, then I'll go ahead. I usually use kite string. You could use rubber bands and kind of put a couple bands on to hold that there. I like kite string, so I do have a video on how I use the kite string. I'll try to remember to put a link to that down in the description box. But basically, when I'm using the kite string, I use one thumb here to hold the kite string flat to the table so that I can drag it around and slide it right underneath the next spot there. But once I get this wrapped up a little bit to hold that in place, I can set that down and then I go on with my scrunching. Okay. So how's everybody doing out there today? We're having kind of nice weather. I think it's about 80 degrees, maybe 85 out there. Nice sun, blue sky. Nice weather to go out and play in somewhere. Nice day for a drive. So Julie, she sent me a message when they were in John Day. I guess they made it yesterday as far as Ontario. They just wanted to get back into Oregon. And then a couple hours ago, she sent a message, said that they were just finishing up lunch in John Day and they were getting back on the road. So they'll be in here early this evening. Well, over at Peggy's place in Albany. So I will just meet them over there later. But for now, we're doing the show. So how are you guys doing? I guess I asked the question and then I went on rambling here. Let me slide this over so I can see what's going on. Oh, yeah. We gotta send some peace, love, light out to the people in California and I think Utah and Colorado, anywhere that they have fires going on. I know they're going on all over the place, but and it sounds like we got some storms that are going on, getting ready to hit someplace. So sending love and light to all of those areas. Keep you guys safe. Some crazy stuff going on this year. Okay. So I just keep scrunching. I took the sleeves, I just kind of tucked those down just a little bit here just so that they're going to get some color. If I left them up here and scrunched them in straight, then when I lay my color on, then the sleeves would be mostly all one color. And this way they're going to get a little bit of extra color because your sleeves are all one. Then you'd have just a little bit of a whiter area up here at the top. Oh, I don't know what that was. My screen just went gray for just a second there, so hopefully we stay. We don't have any wind. I mean, there's a little bit of breeze, but it should be fine. It's kind of fuzzy now too. I don't know. Do you guys have? How's your display doing? Oh, I just went the wrong way with that. It's glitching, but it seems to be back. Blurry. Okay, yeah, mine's blurry too. So let me see if that's just my computer. Try resetting that. But I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so I got the top all the way scrunched up, so now I'm just slowly wrapping this back down, tightening up any spots that were just a little bit, I tightened them up just enough to hold them in place. I was gone there. I thought my device was, then I looked over at my other one. know what's going on. Okay. No, still showing. Okay, see me now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I haven't had anything in the house flash or anything, so it's not a power issue. Let me see here. Okay, so you guys are seeing me now? Sorry, Mallory. It doesn't usually go like this. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. I think whatever that was, I think it's passed. It's still, my display here still kind of pixelated, but I think the show here. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay. So I don't know if you guys saw me. I went ahead and I finished scrunching up the top here, and then I wrapped this all the way down, kind of tightened things up in different places here, and then tied it off. And now what I'm going to do is I usually use my cuticle pusher to take any of these creases, any kind of bigger, fatter creases. I'll try to push those down inside a little bit just to make sure that they're not flopped over anything else in here. Like I say, if it's flopped over another piece of fabric, then it can act like an umbrella and divert the dye. So if you just take this a little bit of time and just kind of work all those little bumps down inside, just make sure everything is kind of all laying nice and flat on its own here. So like I said, I look kind of for some of the fatter folds here. Those are the ones that I want to kind of see if it's flopped over something else, and if it is, you can kind of open that up and tuck part of that down inside, just right next to it there. Or sometimes you can just put your cuticle pusher right on the fat fold and push it down inside, and it'll just kind of fold down the inside on itself. Anyway, so there is the midnight rainbow scrunch. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and tie up the other one. That way when I break out the dyes, I don't have to try to clean up 2 times. Okay, so now for the other design. Well, somebody doesn't want me doing a video today. Okay, so let me start over how my soda ash has been spun out, and now I'm going to fold it in half. And the way that I like to fold in half is by tucking one sleeve into the other. So I just kind of just grab one sleeve and I just pull it all the way through into the other one, and then I line up these 2 sleeves. So I take this bottom seam on the arm here, and I just line both of those up nice and neat. And then from there I pinch those 2 to hold those 2 seams together, and I straighten out the other side. And I do have a video on this. Once you get the 2 sleeves lined up, then you can usually give it kind of a little bit of a shake. And then I reach in between the two folds here, and I try to line up this shoulder seam on the other one underneath it. They're usually pretty close because I've lined the sleeves up, but the shoulder seam is just one other place that I like to get kind of lined up on top. And once I can kind of feel that those two shoulder seams are together, then you can usually kind of shake it out. I'll lay it down and pick up the front part of the bottom and the top. Give it one more shake just to lay it out smooth, or to get the wrinkles smoothed out. And then you can lay the bottoms together, get the tops together, and now your shirt folded in half, and like I say, there's one sleeve tucked into the other. And what that does now is that gives me the front and the back of the t-shirt separately. So when I go to pleat this up and I put dye on here, I have the two parts of the front of the tee together and the two parts of the back of the tee together. If you just fold the tee straight in half, then you have two layers of fabric in between your front and your back. And sometimes that can lead to uneven side to side, especially on, you know, like the spider is more obvious, where you'll have kind of half of your legs are really dark and half of them are really light. If you do the one sleeve into the other, that will help fix that design. People are saying it's fuzzy again. Yeah, mine is still fuzzy, but it's at least playing. Like I say, I'm not sure what's going on right now with the signal, but I'm going to try to get through this. I might end up having to reshoot this video and just make 2 short videos of this and put those up, because this one here might be just kind of really garbled. So we're going to still go for it today, but I might put up another version of both of these designs. Okay, so I have that folded in half, and now I'm going to use a yardstick to draw my inverted V. So I'm putting my point up here next to the collar, but I'm not going to go all the way up to the collar. See if I can scoot this down enough. I'm going about, I'd say, 5 inches down from the collar here, because I'm going to do rainbow colors. I'm going to put them on in a path, so that path is going to come up. So I want the outer edge of my band to be up here right close to the neckline. So I'm going to go down about 5 inches, so my hand and a couple of fingers there. And then the same thing down here. I'm not going to go right down to the point. I'm going about 5 inches above that point, the corner of the shirt. So I hope that made sense there. So I'm not going to the bottom or right up to the collar. I started about 5 inches away from each one of them, because my channel of tie-dye is going to go like that down the shirt. Okay, so let's go ahead and start folding that. Let's get this back out of the way. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Yeah, my birthday is the last day of the month. So thank you for the birthday wishes. Oh, and Dragon Tears of Love. You have a anonymous donor. So I'm going to interrupt the show because I don't want to miss you. So last week I had somebody contact me. They bought a tapestry and they wanted me to give it to you. So there's this peace sign tapestry that's being given to you by an anonymous donor. So Dragon Tears of Love, here is your peace sign. This one here is all for you. All you need to do is just send me a message with your address, and I will get that signed and in the mail to you. And you can send me a message through my launch links. You can either do it through my store. So if you scroll down to the bottom, I think my store and my 2 Facebook pages are there. So that tapestry, they picked it out, bought it, messaged me, and said, give it to you on the show next week. So there you go. Congratulations. Okay. Yes, I will definitely tell the anonymous donor that you said thank you. They just wanted to spread some love in the world. And last week they picked you to spread the love. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to go back to pleating now. You guys, I don't know if you can see that line very well. I'm going to darken it up some. Well, that one might not be dark enough either. Okay, so there's the line that I'm going to pleat here. So, and as I go along, I'm going to try to make sure that I work these pleats out, because like I say, I'm going to tie about, I'd say about 1 hand width out on each side of this line, so that, because I'm going to dye this in rainbow colors, and I want to have space for all of those colors in here. So I'm working on the pleats as I go up all the way out there, and then the rest of it I'm just going to scrunch it up. But this way, if you get those pleats straightened out as you're going, then you're all ready at the end when you tie it up. But you can just work just the middle here and then straighten those out. But I just usually try to do that all at once if I can. Okay, and now I'm going to continue up, because like I say, I'm going to have my channel off here, so I am continuing up, and I'm going to end this pleat right here, right at my collar line. That way I know that when I dye this, the colors are going to come right up to my collar here at my neck, or whoever's neck is in this t-shirt. Probably won't be mine. I think this t-shirt's, oh, it's an extra large, so, but nope, I won't keep it. I will put this out for sale, or I don't know if people would want to bid on something like this, but I'll just put it in my store or something. Okay. That way, if you go up and I tie, I'm going to just wrap an extra couple times right here so that I know that that's my outer channel of where I want my dye to go. So that's going just right below the neckline. So here's my neckline here. So I know that my color is going to go all the way up right to my neck, whatever color I put at this end. So that's something else that you can decide. If you want blue up at this end, up at your neck, then put blue up here at the top. Does that make sense? That's the nice thing about tie-dyes. You can kind of design your t-shirt the way that you want it to look by selecting where you put the colors at. Sometimes you just need to make a mark on the t-shirt. You know, if you want color in a certain area, like over your chest or something, if you use a washable marker and put a little X there, then after you have it scrunched up, then you know what color to put where, because you put some markers on your t-shirt. Just kind of designing them how you want them. Okay, so now my outer edge. So up here I went just about 1 hand's width, so I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to wrap off this bottom part and just kind of wrap it a couple times. So there's going to be my dye channel right in there, 1 hand on either side, but you can make this as wide or as narrow as you want. You could even just extend this, do pleats all the way out, and do the whole thing if you wanted to. I'm just going to pleat just there, and then I'm going to scrunch the top and the bottom. Okay. So now I'm just going to wrap this back up to the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to pleat or scrunch this up. Oh, let's see. Uniquely yours just sent a super chat. Peace and love to everyone. Thank you, thank you. Namaste. I appreciate the support. And peace, love, and light out to everyone. I'm glad this thing is working now. Don't know what was going on before, but seems to be working. I'll probably still do these in a couple separate videos. I'll see how the playback quality of this is. If it's too choppy and fuzzy, then I'll just make a couple quick videos. I'll still leave this live one up, but it'll just make it easier later if I make another video. This one is too poor of quality. But thank you guys for hanging in there and letting this thing settle out. Okay, I think we're just about ready here. I'm going to kind of wad this tag up, tuck it underneath a little bit. Whenever I can, I try to tuck that tag in, because sometimes when you're dyeing, if your dye hits that tag, it can splash around and make a big mess. So if I get the opportunity, I tuck that tag down inside someplace. Oh, I just don't need that right now. All right, so there is the inverted V DNA scrunch. So we're going to slide that one aside. We're going to break this one back out. Speaking of tucking tags in, we can tuck this one in too. Okay, let me get some gloves on, and then we're going to start getting some dye put on this thing. It was traumatic. Is that when I kept disappearing all the time? That was what was traumatic? Okay, so I'm going to, like I say, do these in rainbow colors. So I'm going to use fuchsia, deep orange, lemon yellow, bright green, turquoise, and plum. And then when we're all done, we're going to put some black over top of that. So we're just going to get started here. And I'm basically going to just dye this. Instead of going, if I did it straight across like this here, then, and went up, then we would get the design like on the dress that you guys saw on this video, where it starts out. I just want to change this a little bit. So I'm going to kind of go color this on a diagonal going up, just to kind of take my lines and put them on a little bit of a slant. Sometimes I like to just play with things just a little bit differently. Oh, and the other thing is finding out how many spaces, and usually what I'll do is I'll use my hand or fingers as just a quick guide to see how many spaces, and if I need 6 spaces here, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could tell about 4 fingers width is what I need to do. But you can change that down. Sometimes if I'm doing a DNA, I use just one finger, but that's just a kind of a quick measure so you have an idea of how much space you need for each one of the colors. So I know that I need to go about 4 fingers wide here with my fuchsia, and then all the rest of the colors too. Let's see. Carl, one of my tie-dyes put black over, kind of went blah. I just used urea. I'm thinking that was the issue. No, the urea is a wetting agent, so that's probably not it. I would have to see the t-shirt to kind of know what might have went blah on you. So if you send that to me on Facebook or something, I could try to help you figure that out. But I'll show you how I put black on. Sometimes I will really saturate things and then I squirt the black on, but most times I use a foam brush to apply my black. So that's what we'll be doing here. Okay. Well, this is where it would be nice to have Julie here, because she could start fielding me some questions. Let's see. What if the black stayed wet too long? No, I mean, you want your dyes to stay wet. It's possible how much black you used is what, but I don't know for sure until I actually see the t-shirt. And I can't say that I will know for sure, but I definitely won't know until I see it. But I usually like to apply mine with a brush so that I'm applying just a little bit at a time of the black, unless I want it mostly dark. And then I'll go ahead and squirt it on. But those are the different options. Let me scoot this back some. I guess I laid that down in the wrong place. Okay, yeah, now you can see everything. Yes, Julie, she'll be back. Like I say, next week she'll be on here. And that does make things go smoother when she can field those questions for me. But she's driving right now, so she just can't do that. And I can't always see these questions. Just the distance is just not my good distance there. But it does help if you guys are asking questions of me, if you put them in all caps. That'll make it easier for me to see that it's for me, but also for me to be able to read it from here. But most of the questions I'm going to take at the end. I just try to, sometimes when I'm doing this, answer a few here and there when I can. Sometimes just sitting here squirting dye, the questions help pass the time a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to put the colors on in the same fashion. Okay. See, I need some pants designs. I did a pants video. I haven't got it edited yet, but that will be coming out soon. I'm hoping to have a new video come out each Monday. So as I work on these and get them edited, I'm hoping to have one every week come out, and then of course I'll be still doing my Wednesday videos, and then on Fridays Friday or Saturday I usually do the reveal videos. But there is one pants video coming, and then I'm going to do another one. I'm going to dye a pair of shorts, so I will be having that come up also. I also did a video for socks, so that's coming up soon. And let's see what else. Oh, I did another one of the spiral videos, the mystical magical spiral design, where I did one twist and then I dyed it in 8 different fashions. That seemed to be really popular, so I made another one of those. I just came up with 8 more designs, just different ways of laying your dye down. So that'll be coming out too. Let's see. Greetings from Glasgow. When you do your scrunching, do you add little swirls? Yeah, sometimes I'll put little twists in there, not always. Sometimes it's just wrinkles, but little swirls is just another way that you're wanting to just kind of gather the fabric together. So sometimes those little swirls in there, you know, I usually will kind of put a couple in and hold them in place while I put a couple more, and then I scrunch that together. But it's just another way of gathering fabric up. So, but other times I will just kind of wrinkle it, crumple it. So I just like to kind of play around with different methods. But yeah, the little swirls work great. Let's see. I don't have a huge canvas to work with for pants. Yeah, that's the thing. That you can't get too awful fancy, but usually what I'll do is I mean, you can scrunch them, pleat them, or twist them. So the pair that I did, I put a rainbow on them going across. I scrunched the top part, and then I put a spiral down on the leg. So yeah, there's not a whole lot that you can do with pants as far as design wise, but you can still do the same designs on them. They're just a little smaller version of them. I just did the zebra and tidal wave spiral on my channel. Thanks for being a great teacher. Oh, you're welcome. Let's see who has said that. Glitter is the new black. You're welcome. I'm glad to be of help. Yeah, I do see a lot more new channels popping up, and I just think that is awesome. I can only do so many videos at a time, and having more people putting videos out, because everybody does tie-dye just a little bit differently. So if what I'm saying doesn't work for somebody, then maybe something that somebody else puts out is going to work for them. So I encourage people, if you want to do a tie-dye video, tie-dye channel, I say go for it, because it's going to just help more and more people out there in the world. Do I need urea for Dharma Procyon dyes? No, you don't. Urea is not required. I dyed for many years without ever using urea, and now I put it in sometimes and sometimes not. One of the times that I definitely use it is when I'm using black, because I use way more powder in my black than I do any of my other dyes, and the urea is one thing that helps dissolve more powder into your liquid. So that's a reason why I use the urea in my black dyes and sometimes in the other ones, but no, it's not required. I think it may be my only time. My lane is t-shirts that I made sure to give. Oh, well, thank you. Sorry about that. I couldn't quite read it, and I think spell correct changed a couple of your words there, but okay. So now we got the t-shirt dyed, and I usually like to leave it sit for just a couple minutes. That's why I've been kind of stalling here. And well, I guess I can get these put away to stall a little bit longer. I like to let the dyes kind of soak in a little bit so that the liquid isn't fresh right at the top of the folds here. So once the dyes kind of settle out just a little bit, that's when I then go in and I'll paint some black dye on. And this is just regular dye. This isn't thickened dye or anything. I'm just using regular dye. And I usually will just squirt some out on my table here and just use a brush. Kind of soak some of that dye up. And then I just brush that on so that I'm just getting just a light coat. And I don't pour some dye into a cup and dip in that, because I want to use just however much dye I use for this. I'm not going to save any of it. So if I poured it into a cup, sometimes that last little bit is going to get just poured out, because as I gather up dye and I put it on to the t-shirt has soda ash on it, so now the brush has a little bit of soda ash on it. And if I dip that back in the cup, I'm slowly putting just little tiny bits of soda ash into my dye. So then over time, that dye is slowly not going to produce the same color results. So by squirting just a little bit on the table, I'm just going to go ahead and use all of the dye that I squirt out, and the rest of it just gets wiped up. And I want to take a moment to thank, we got Pillar Kate and Caitlin just signed up to be a new member. Thank you. Much love out to you. I appreciate all the support that I get. Definitely helps keep me making more of these videos. Okay. So like I say, this here's how my preference for putting black on, if I want to keep still nice bright colors. If I want it to be mostly dark with just a little bit of color shining through, then instead of painting it on, then I would just take my bottle and squirt it on. And then it kind of goes in, it darkens, kind of muddies the colors up just a little bit. But you still have a little bit of the bright colors that will shine through. But this way here just puts some spots on there, because really all you're doing is painting the tops of all of these creases. That's another reason that it's good to go in with your cuticle pusher and kind of straighten some of them pleats out, because if you have a big fold laying over top of other ones, then when you brush this dye on, it's not going to get underneath that fold. And the one thing you want to be careful of, if you use rubber bands to hold your thing together and you brush back and forth, you got to be careful that you don't pull one of the rubber bands, because then it will flick little tiny spots of dye all over the place. It doesn't happen as much with the string, although it still can. But if you use rubber bands, I usually will try to slide the rubber band out of the way and get in there and paint underneath them, because you don't want to fling tiny drops of black dye all over your kitchen. Although I do have this mysterious spot of turquoise dye up on my wall it's like a little more than 6 feet up, and it's about 5 feet over from my dye table. So how dye got all the way over there, I have no idea, but I must have been doing something wild and crazy. And Julie lets me keep it there just because it's, well, it's not really a conversation starter, but it's just interesting. Okay, so there is my Midnight Rainbow Scrunch. I call it Midnight. Anytime I put black over top of something, that's just the name that I've given it. So this is the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch. We're going to batch this for 48 hours. And then, like I say, I'll do a reveal video, just like I would do for my tapestries. I will do a reveal of these 2 t-shirts. Okay, so let's get these all out of the way. Get this cleaned up. Never underestimate the power of turquoise to get into places you never expected. I call it the glitter of the tie-dye world. Yes, I love that. Yep, and see the other thing is the drop. One of these times I'll have to take a picture of it, but the drop it was moving sideways. So it when it hit, it was actually moving in that direction, and it was a big enough drop then that it also dripped down from there. So like I say, I have no idea how long it's been up there, but I know it's been up there for at least a few years. I just think it's funny. Okay, I think we got this cleaned up. That's the one thing about working on the table. You got to make sure that you wipe it up really good, otherwise you get dye contamination. Oh, and I got dye on my gloves still. Oh, I'm glad I can crack you up. Laughter is good for the soul. Okay. This time we're going to do a rainbow channel, and then I'm going to do blue and black out here. So I'm going to use my regular black. I'm going to use sapphire blue there. And then for my rainbow, I think I want to have turquoise up here at my neck. So I'm going to start with turquoise there. We'll go down to green. This is bright green. This is one that I've used mostly yellow. So I use 3 parts lemon yellow and 1 part turquoise, makes your bright green. And you can add more lemon yellow to it to make it kind of a limier green, or you can add more turquoise to it to make it a darker green. But so this is the green that I mix up myself. Then I have lemon yellow, deep orange, and oh, there it is, fuchsia, and plum for my purple. Okay. So like I say, this here is my neckline up here, and I want to have turquoise up by my neckline. Let's see, any tips for dyeing denim for noobs? I have 2 white jackets. The main thing I think for dyeing denim is to not get too fancy of a fold, especially if you're new at it. So you don't want to try and do like a Mandela. I would do, you know, a swirl, a scrunch, or a pleat, or something you can do like up over and do a rainbow. But something that keeps them all on one layer, because denim is a thick fabric, and if you have too many layers of denim stacked up, then you're possibly going to have saturation issues. So yeah, whatever design you do, try to keep it all at one level, and then you're gonna, after you add all your dye and you think you're done, you want to go in and open those cracks and crevices up and look for white spots, and then add more dye down in there where needed. And we're going to do this DNA style, so I will be rotating the colors. Like I say, you can pick what color you want up at your neckline just by making sure that you start with that color. And like I said, I know my neckline is right there. And I'm doing rainbow, but you guys can certainly pick, you know, just a couple colors if you want to. You could pick just one color and just have it go up to your neck and back down. But then the other thing that this design is going to do is it's going to come down here, and then there's going to be a V shape on the side of your t-shirt. So you can kind of play with this design. I've done just one line where it just kind of went down and back up, and then it did the opposite thing on the back because I opened it up and folded that differently. And it's always fun to just kind of play with the design and try it in all different manners, folding it, and then also dyeing it in different fashions and seeing what you get. The main thing though is to not try to experiment with too many shirts at one time. I usually, if I was going to do experiments, I would do maybe 3 experiments at a time. I would take notes, and that way when I open them up, if I liked it, I could remember how I did it. But if you tie up 20 shirts and do them all differently, trying to remember how you tied 20 shirts might be a little bit of an issue. Unless you take really good notes. Okay. So we got that, and then like I say, I'm going to put sapphire blue down first, and then I'm going to coat that with black. But I like to put my one color on first and let it soak in some before I add the black on top of it. Yeah, I think when you put one color on and immediately put a second color on, sometimes those colors tend to mix more. And by letting this one soak in some and then putting the next color on, the top layers are going to mix, but the inner part is going to stay bright. What colored dyes don't mix well or shouldn't be put next to each other? Or is it free-for-all? Well, that's kind of a multi-layered question. Orange and purple, some people will say they don't mix well. Well, they create brown. So sometimes I will intentionally put them next to each other, or if I want a brown, I will mix. You know, I usually will start with the orange and put just a couple drops of purple in to make my brown. But basically, if you get the color wheel, it's going to be a pie shape, but basically it's going to be a circle like this here. So any of your colors that are touching are going to mix well, and usually if they're one away, except with the exception of like this purple here, because purple is just one away from or two away from the orange. But if they're just one away, these colors here are all going to mix well. And like if you mix these three, you're going to get fire colors. This is going to give you cool colors. But you can also mix like the yellow, blue, and green in there, because the yellow and blue are going to mix your green. So anyways, if you get a color chart, color wheel, you can kind of play with that some and see colors. And sometimes they'll give you your, I think they're called tertiary colors, where they're mixed across. So like purple and yellow. Or maybe it's purple and orange. I'd have to look at my wheel. Anyway, but I say it's kind of a free-for-all. If you do want to minimize, you know, like if you want to put orange and purple and you want to minimize your brown from that, I do have a video called Laying Colors. And for that one, I will leave a little bit of a space between the orange and the purple. I will put the purple down first and let it spread however much it's going to, and then put my orange on and leave a little bit of a white space and let it spread. And eventually the two of them are going to slowly come up and just touch. And right there you'll have a little bit of brown, but the rest of it's good. So yeah, look up the Laying Colors video on my channel. And I think it's in the beginner's playlist. And that'll give you some ideas. The other thing you can do is lay a color down in between. So if I want purple and orange, the fuchsia is in between. So I can lay my purple down, put a thin line of fuchsia, and then lay my orange down. And then you're not going to have the orange and the purple mixing at all. They're both going to mix with the fuchsia. So I hope that made sense. Let's see, excuse me, is it... I missed that question. Let me scroll down. Excuse me, is it possible to buy plastic tubes like yours on the internet? Yes, if you're talking about these little bottles here, you can find those, I think even in the description. Yeah, okay, right here. I will just paste that link into the chat box. I finally signed up for an affiliate account with Amazon, so if you guys buy these bottles using this link, then I get credit for it through Amazon. So anyways, that's the link for these bottles here with the little fine metal tips on them. I've been using these for over a year and I haven't had any problems with them. Okay, I gotta get this one dyed so we can get on to the next one, because we're at 2:30. And I usually start the auction right around this time. But I've been chatting too much, rambling too much. That happens. Okay. So I like to give this a nice good coat of the blue and let it soak in before, like I say, before I start adding my black on top. So I'm going to go ahead and dye the other side of this first and then come back and add my black on top of that. Okay, and now the other thing, since this is a DNA, I'm going to move my bottles. So last time I started with turquoise up here at the neckline. This time I'm starting with the plum up at the neckline here. So right where the turquoise was, I'm going to lay plum down now. And that basically then just shifts all of the colors one space this way, and the plum had been here and it moves it up to this spot. And that's what gives you that DNA look. We do like the chatting, not the buffering. Okay. Well, I'll try to avoid the buffering. Okay. Oh, and the other colors that will make brown if you mix them together is like green and orange. Those make a brown also. And then the purple and yellow also make brown. So those are colors that if you're wanting to stay away from brown, then I guess those would be the three color combinations you want to avoid. Is the purple and yellow, purple and orange, or orange and green. Those three colors, when you mix them together, and really what that means is the lighter color, you would add the darker color into it just a little bit to make your brown. Okay, we're going for the orange next. Okay, now we're going to add some more blue in here, and then we're going to get the black put on. And this one here, I'm going to squirt the black on because I want more black on than what, like on the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch I did. I just want a little bit of black spots. This one here, I actually want a really nice dark tone for these here, because I want the rainbow to pop out from the darkness. So, but then the darkness is going to have just a little bit of blue down inside. I like to have a little bit of texture, so rather than dyeing it a solid color, sometimes I like to layer colors in there. But you also want to make sure that you get the first color good and saturated. I mean, you don't need to have it with no white, but when I open this up, I see very minimal light areas in there. So I got this really nice and saturated, which means that when I put my black on, I'm going to need to soak up some of that excess. Yeah, I'm trying, Saucy. I'm trying. Sometimes I think my brain thinks too fast for my mouth to keep up. Okay, so what I'm doing is getting a towel out because I know that when I put my black over top of the blue, I'm going to have some excess dye that wants to move around. And if I leave it in the t-shirt, then it's possible that it's going to spread into the rainbow. So by putting it on a clean, dry towel, then I can soak that and then press on it and soak up some of that excess dye so that I get the nice black in there, but I don't get the black spreading into my rainbow. So, okay, let's get these out of the way. Let's scoot this up. Okay, I guess it's hard to see the blue there, but I colored both of these really good with the sapphire blue, and now I'm just going to squirt over top with the black. So I'm just putting a nice layer on there. I'm not trying to saturate it. I'm really just trying to color all of the blue that I see. So I'm just trying to make a quick pass over top of these creases, scrunches, to color the blue I see. Now I can soak up some of that excess, flip it over, and do the same thing on the other side. And then you get to see the results from the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch and from this, although this here is going over top of blue, not rainbow, but you can still kind of get an idea of the difference between painting the dye on and squirting the dye on, just by the saturation level. But you'll have to wait till Friday or Saturday to see that. It might actually be Saturday. It possibly even be Sunday that I won't get these washed. When Julie gets back, it's possible that we might go out of town if we have the opportunity, so we'll just play that by ear. But at some point, you will see the results of these. So once again, I just kind of pressed on that a little bit to soak out some more of that excess dye. That way when I set this away to batch, I don't have to worry about the dyes mixing and moving and contaminating my rainbow here. Oh, the one thing I didn't do though was check my rainbow. Yeah, okay, I got good saturation down in there. That's just one good thing to do before you put a dye away, is just to kind of peek inside and see what your saturation looks like. And I usually try to make sure that I wipe my hand and my little tool off in between colors so that I'm not spreading dye around as I do this. But that way then you know ahead of time. If I had seen any white spots, then I could add extra dye right now. Hello Caden, welcome. We just got done dyeing both of them and we're moving into the auction now. Hopefully this will be a decent replay. We had some issues at the beginning, but I'll go back and watch it later, and if need be, I will reshoot both of these videos so that there's a decent video up for these designs. But there's the dyeing of the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch and the Inverted DNA V. Okay, let's get everything moved back out of the way. And I'll break out my tapestries for auction here. Or tapestry. This was the totally random incline ice dye from last week. Oh, and I guess I don't need the gloves anymore. Okay. And once we get the auction going, then I will start answering some more questions here. But let's go ahead and break that out first. Okay, and the other thing, if you want to see the whole tapestry, I do have a picture of it over in my launch links. Well, it's not in the launch links, but there's a link to the album over on Facebook here if you want to see the whole tapestry. I will show as much of it as I can here. So we just got some nice colors running here. Our little streaky rainbow. I think it came out pretty decent. This here was the center where I was hoping for a white spot, but it came all the way down and it colored that all in turquoise. The turquoise, somebody was telling me, turquoise is like the glitter. Yes, it just went Of all of the colors, the turquoise went all the way down to the bottom here. So, and then we got the other side here. So, okay. So this one here is now officially open for bidding. So if you guys want to place a bid, you can just type that in the chat box. I'm going to move this up closer now so that I can start answering questions here. Okay, we got an opening bid from Saucy at $30. Thank you, Saucy. Okay. Let me just scroll back and see if I see any questions on here. I don't see any questions back there for me. So we got a $35 bid from Gwen. Do you ever do a second dye after washing? Yes, I do that quite often. Sometimes it's because a design didn't turn out how I wanted it to, or I didn't get enough saturation. If I didn't get enough saturation, sometimes what I'll do is I'll go ahead and re-soak it in soda ash, but I will do that in a separate bucket. I don't put it in my main soda ash bucket because some of this dye can leach out and it will discolor your soda ash, and then that will go into the next t-shirt that you put into your bucket. So I usually, when I'm doing a re-soak, I'll pour just enough into a little tub to get the t-shirt wet. And then sometimes I'll save that, you know, if I have another t-shirt that I'm going to soak that's already dyed. Otherwise, I usually just pour that out. And then I can tie it up back in the same fashion as the first design and add more color to it. But if I'm just completely doing a re-dye on it, then I do what's called an over-dye, and I will tie the t-shirt up using sinew. And let me see if I can find a link. I'll use sinew and tie up like a Ronstar design, and then I'll dye it in dark colors, and then whatever colors were originally on your t-shirt, those are going to be the bright lines in your t-shirt. Instead of having white lines, you're going to have colored lines. So that's how I go about adding more dye to a t-shirt, either tying it up in the same way and adding more of the same colors, or I tie it up in a different way and add, with Ronstar or sinew in some way so that it causes a resist, then dye it dark, and then you have some bright colors shining through your black. Okay. Could you talk about making thickened black? Okay, when I do my thickened black dyes, I have two different products. One from Dharma and one from Amazon. So the Amazon one is a really very fine sodium alginate. The one from Dharma it's more the consistency of really fine sand. The one from Dharma, it takes longer to blend up and to dissolve, but it is my preferred one of the two. This one here, sometimes after I've made the thick dye from it and it sits for a while, it feels like the dye can come out and leave kind of a little bit of a pasty film on my dyes, my t-shirts. So I do prefer the sodium alginate from Dharma, but it is just a little bit more difficult to work with. So when I mix this, I can't think of the numbers off the top of my head, so you'll have to refer to the video. But I'll usually get the hottest water out of my tap that I can, and if you don't have hot enough water, you could even boil some water to add it in just to make your water hotter. But then I will go ahead and add my sodium alginate slowly. I have one of these hand blenders that I use. So I will add, scoop up all of the sodium alginate that I'm going to use. I have that measured out. Once again, I can't think of the number off the top of my head, but however much, I'll put that in a separate cup so that I can slowly pour that in while I'm blending it. And I will blend it, and you'll see little bits, chunks floating at the top. And you just have to keep blending it, and sometimes I'll walk away, let it settle for a bit and see what else floats up. If I still have bits that are floating up to the top, then I'll blend it some more. But I basically blend it until I can stick my finger in and rub it and not feel any little bumps. If you feel any bumps, then you haven't blended it enough. Once I get that completely smooth between my fingers where I'm not feeling any texture, then that's when I add my salt and urea and then blend it up the rest of the way. I think in the video I had to make an extra note because I didn't specify that, and one time I added my salt and urea before I had it really smooth, and then it cooled things down so much that the rest of the sodium alginate didn't dissolve. So lesson learned there. So just make sure that you get the sodium alginate dissolved completely before you add anything else. And that's my preferred method if you're going to do dye painting with the thick black dye, because when you put that on, having the urea in it is going to keep it wetter. The one product from Amazon, it blends up quicker and easier because it's already a really fine powder. So I still blend it with hot water, but I've had to kind of play with the amounts a little bit on this. So I put out, you know, how much I used in the video, but it seemed like I still have to kind of adjust that a little bit. So I don't know if it's just more precise, and sometimes I do a scoop, I don't level it off, and I think that might be just enough to make a difference. So it's a little bit more sensitive with that. So I'm still kind of playing with it, but if I quickly need to mix up just a small amount of thick dye, then I think this one from Amazon is the one that I use. So anyways, there's the thick black dye tutorial. Let's see. Oh. And let me see if I get any more bids going on here, or where the high bid sits. I'm going to scroll down and see, but right now I see Gwen had the $35 bid. And I'm going to scroll down and see if I see any more. Boil a kettle, yep. Peace, everybody. Gotta go. Oh, see you later, Annie. Nice to see you. Thank you for popping in and joining us. We'll see you next week, maybe. Okay, I don't see any more bids. So we're still at 35 high bid for the totally random incline ice dye. Let's see if we got some more questions here. Oh, you're welcome, Dragon Tears. Yeah, the second bucket works good. I did have a chance one time when I forgot about it. I put it into my main bucket, and then my soda ash had turned blue, and I was able to take 2 white t-shirts and throw them into my soda ash bucket, and I left them there overnight, and they slowly soaked up all of that excess dye that had leached out, and my soda, it didn't go back to its regular kind of tan yellowy color, but it wasn't blue anymore. And then I just took those 2 t-shirts and I dyed them in dark colors, and you didn't notice that they had just a slight blue cast to them. So it doesn't completely ruin your soda ash. It just is a pain if the dye leaches out. So the separate bucket works perfect to make sure you don't have that problem. Okay, let me see. I don't see any more questions yet. I like bleaching shirts too. Yeah, I have a couple videos up on bleaching, but I'm going to be doing the RIT color remover here soon. That'll be one of my upcoming videos also. So yeah, I love taking color out and putting color back in. Okay. I don't see any more questions. So let's go ahead and work on this auction here, and then we'll probably go ahead and close this up a little early today. So if we have any more bids on this, right now we have the high bid sitting at 35. So if anybody else wants to place a bid, now is the time to get your bids in. And if you have a question, now is the time to type it in so that I can get that answered. But otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And at some point, like I say, I'll watch the video and see what the quality is. If it's decent quality, then we'll just go with it. But if it's poor quality, then I'm going to go ahead and reshoot both of these. I'll leave this video up so that we still have the chat in there. But I will make 2 little quick videos of the inverted V and the Midnight Rainbow Scrunch. So, you guys have any more bids or questions? Let's see. Renee said, I put your info in the translator. I'll try to find the beginner video, MrTieDye. Oh, if somebody's looking for the beginner video, I can find that real quick. Thank you, Dragon Tears of Love, for translating that. Oh, wait a minute. I guess I could find the whole playlist. How about that? And then after I find this link, then we're going to close it out. Unless I see more questions or more bids, I'll go ahead and close the bidding out on this. Like I say, the top bid is still sitting at 35 that I see. I'm going to grab this link and then we're going to close this out. But for beginner tie-dye, I do have at the top of this list, there's a video that kind of just goes through the whole process of tie-dye with these types of dyes. And then there's several other videos in there, little tips and tricks of various things. But that's my beginner playlist. Okay. Okay, bye, Caden. Thank you for stopping in. Let's see. Most of MrTieDye videos can be good for beginners. Yes. Okay. We have a $40 bid. Oh, my mom, she did say that she wanted this, and if nobody else was going to bid, she was going to bid on it. So, let's see. So we have a $40 bid for the random incline ice dye. So we'll leave that open for just another minute and then we're going to close it. And if we have any more questions, you guys can put those in the chat box. Hello, my thickened black dye got too thick after it cooled. With your measurements, what did I do wrong? Sometimes like I say, my measurements aren't completely exact. If it got too thick when it cooled, then you can add just a little bit of water to it and blend it again. It's possible that my measurements were off a little bit, or if it seems like this stuff is very, very exact in how much you need to use. The slightest bit can change your things. I find that I'm always adjusting my thick black dye by adding just a little bit more plain water, a little bit more thick water. So eventually I'll probably make another video on the thick black dye, but yeah, you just have to kind of play with it and adjust. If it's too thick, add plain water. If it's too thin, add a little bit more thick water to it. So sometimes it's nice to have your thick water off to the side, pour some, make your thick black dye, and then that way you can adjust either with plain water or thick water just to get your consistency right. So, but yes, it definitely is a process. And what I've told a couple other people, I guess I need to put that out there more, is it's best to let your thick water cool completely before you go in to make your thick black dye, because it does tend to thicken up as it cools. So if you need to, you can speed that cooling by putting it in the fridge for 20 minutes and then seeing what the consistency is. So hopefully that will help you. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and see if we have any more bids. So far we have a $40 bid. And let me see if we got any more questions. Oh, thank you, Saucy. Yep, I managed to catch that one. Sometimes it doesn't want to come out the needle tip. Yep, if you have any kind of a little bit of a grittiness in your thick water, that can definitely clog these tips. So that's why I like to have it completely smooth. Okay. So we have a $40 bid as the high bid, so I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I don't see... Thank you, Julie, number 2. I don't see any more questions in here, so we're probably going to close this video out also. Okay, so we have $40 going once. Okay, we have $40 going twice. Yep, you better take a bow, Saucy. Okay, $40 going 3 times. Okay, sold for $40. So, and you know how to get money to me. And let's see. Oh, and Dragon Tears of Love. You just need to send me your address and I will get your peace sign tapestry signed and sent out to you. Oh, yes, you can bid against my mom. My mom said that she likes to bid, but she's been holding back because she doesn't want to make it look like we got some sort of a family deal going on. But I think this time, since that one was sitting down so low, no bids on it, she decided she wanted to get in and bid because she said she really did love it. But if somebody else wanted it, they could certainly bid. She loves the competition. So anyways, but that's neither here nor there now. You sent it through Facebook. Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Like I say, as soon as I can, I will get these t-shirts washed. I'll do a reveal video for both of those. And if there's any kind of interest, I might sell them. Maybe I'll just give them away on here next week or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. I'll let you guys know. But hope you guys all have a nice week. Let's send some peace, love, and prayers out to everybody that's involved in any way with the sickness, any way that's involved with any of the fires, whether you're the one that's in the fire, fighting the fire, you're the one that's sick, you're the one caring for somebody who's sick. Let's just send peace, love, and light out to all of them. And to all of my Rainbow Warriors, I send peace, love, light, and laughter out to all of you guys. You guys just, I love you guys all. You just really make this a lot of fun coming in here. I see you guys chatting before I even get online. So anyways, I love you guys. You have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.